How to get that second date like a boss. A lot of men walk into dates thinking that the goal is to actually worry about or wonder about, did she actually approve of me? And I think this is where so many young men go wrong when it comes to the game, because they think too much. They ask themselves, am I enough? Okay. And that mindset alone, gentlemen, it actually puts you on the defense and before everything even starts. Because you've been told so many times to be nice, to be respectful, but at the end of all of this, there is always going to be a certain kind of confusion because a lot of young men have been given the wrong information. And this is where being all nice and kind and trying to do things for women has got you all wrong. And sometimes it got you in a friend zone, it got you ghosted, and most of you guys are hit with that classic BS line is, I'll get back with you later, okay? And when she's saying that, she's kind of like even laughing at you and everything like that. And I know for many of you guys, you feel like the date went very well. You felt like the two of you connected. You felt like things worked out well for you. You felt like, you said the right things, you did the right things, you wore the right clothes, you took it to the right place and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, she no longer reaches out to you. And a lot of you guys are actually asking yourselves, where did I go wrong in all of this? And it can be very frustrating for a lot of men because they want to get answers. And sometimes you can't get the answers when you don't know what's going on. And for some reason, things change. And for many of you guys out there, you kind of miss the signs because of everything that's going around you. I get it. There's a lot of pressure on a lot of you guys out there to feel like, I need to be the right person for this woman, because if I'm not the right person, I might lose this woman. If I'm not the right person, she might not be interested in me. If I'm not the right person, I don't know if she is going to want to create another date with me at all. And a lot of guys actually get caught up in that. And sometimes it happens and things like that, but sometimes the mindset, your subconscious and everything like that, it gets locked up into this meaning and everything. And if you at the end of the day feel like you're hoping there is going to actually be a second date, you're actually going to kill the attraction. This is why I want you guys to listen carefully, because I've always told you guys, attraction is never going to be built through comfort alone. It is always going to be built through sexual tension, and that's what a lot of you guys have to do. And it's like electricity, it's like a current. And throughout the date, when you're having it with a woman, if she doesn't feel that we're moving towards something, then she is not going to make a decision to go towards that one thing. And I think this is where a lot of guys go wrong, because a lot of these guys out here are just so nervous about doing and saying the right thing. Well, when it comes to the game, there is no such thing as doing the right thing. There is no such thing as the right thing. What there is just who I am. One thought, one mind, one way. And what I always know is like, okay, the first date to me is making sure that no matter what happens, she's in comfort. I want to make sure that when she's with me, that she doesn't have to worry about things, that we're going to kick it and we're going to have a good time together without even worrying about what's going to happen next. I don't ever try to think about what's going to happen next, even though throughout the conversations that we're going to have in between those things and the text messages, we're actually going to have the second date back at her place. But it is something that I want her to be connected to and want her to be a part of. And for many of you guys out there, if you don't have that, what you're going to start doing is you're going to start replaying all the moments in your head of what went wrong. You're going to start asking yourself all these questions, and you're going to wonder, does she want to see me? And what happens is, for many of you guys out there, unfortunately, is you dump everything on the table and you want some kind of intention and this kind of certainty in trying to chase and all these other things. I guess it actually hurts you at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, I don't ever want you to, I don't want the date to be like an audition, like you're auditioning yourself to the woman. You should never try to ever put yourself in a position where you feel like I've got to audition for this role. When you have the game, one thought, one mind, one way, you're not actually auditioning. What you're doing is saying that, look, it's about me and me alone. And when you start to do that, you start to change the world up, because at that point, you're not chasing her on a certain kind of level. And see, that kind of dominance that you can create as a man, one thought, one mind, one way, can actually change up the game. And that's why we're actually talking about this today, because I want to make sure that every move that you make is one that is going to pursue her, yes, but also make sure that the second date that you have is going to be one that she's looking forward to. She wants to spend time with you. She wants to get to know you, and she wants to carry this thing along. And this is why you must have these kind of dominant traits with you, gentlemen, because without those dominant traits, nothing's going to happen. So we got to look at this in far as principles, okay, that you can actually use as a man. And what's very important is that you always ended first. You know, I've always, since I've been doing this since the 1900s. One thing I always like to do is I always like to move it where I know everything is going good. Everything is going perfect. We're laughing. We're having a good time. And for a woman, sometimes they like to have that power to yank the rug underneath you and say, well, it's getting late, I should go home. Well, one thing I like to do when it feels good, it gets good, I don't want to push it further down the line. What I actually want to do is I will end the date. And this is, for me, it's actually a non-negotiable, because one thing I'm not trying to do is I'm not trying to show I'm pressed up on her. Now, there are going to be times, gentlemen, where you meet a woman and she's going to say to you, she's like, well, hey, I'm like, I end the date. And she's like, when she's really into you, she wants to keep it going. She say, well, do you really have to go? Do you really have to end it? Which is going to indicate at that point, we'll say, you know what? Yes, let's end it here. And then at that point, we can say we can go somewhere else. Sometimes when she's feel comfortable with you in the springtime and the summertime, you can move from the ice cream place to the pond or something. Now, if there's really good chemistry and you want to end it, she can say, well, do we have to end it? I say, well, no, we have to end it. Okay, well, your place is right around the corner, my place is right around the corner. And it's at that point we can set up meeting and hooking up at her place. Now that is what we call a different kind of game changer. But you got to have actually game to be able to do that move. But I just want to say, for my students who have the game, they kind of understand where I'm talking and coming from. But what I'm saying at the end of the day is that, like, whoever ends the date is going to actually control the narrative, because the other person is trying to hold on and keep it going. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually the guy feeling that way. And that's why I want to make sure, gentlemen, when you end the date, you end it in a proper way by walking her to her car, letting her know you had a great time, letting her know to get back at me when just so I want to make sure you got home safely. But also, I look forward to our second date, and I think it'd be a great idea to go back and have it at my place or your place the next date. I mean, you're allowed to say that. That's why I always say you want to push the second date back at your place versus sitting around and wondering. Now, it's very important that when you walk her to the car, this is where my kissing 101, guys, you set up for the kiss. This is the beautiful thing about the game. This is where the rubber hits the road, because when the two of you are walking to the car, is at that point that you go ahead and get the hug, you get the kiss. I let her know that, you know what, I had a great time, and I look forward to continuing this next week. This time we'll probably have it at my place or your place, to be determined, but we'll discuss all that when you call me. We'll discuss all that when you call me and let me know you got home safely, and then we can just move it from that point right there. But one thing I want to make sure is that when you are doing these things, you got to make sure that you are the one ending the date first. Even though you feel like you're close to having sex, even though she might be kissing you, rubbing and touching you, what is so cold in the game is canceling that motherfucker and just like, you know what, hey, look, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna go ahead and, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up right here. Now, for a lot of women, it's gonna throw them off because they're so used to dropping guys and they're so used to saying, well, it's getting late, that they've never been in a position to be around someone that says to them that, you know what, it's not, things are cool, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And, and when you do things like that, what happens is it kind of throws women off, okay? And that's what I'm saying for all you guys out there. And this is where a lot of guys make a lot of mistakes because they try to keep pushing the narrative. Once a woman realizes that the narrative that you push is not about sex, it's going to shift the way she's seeing you, plus the way she feels about you, plus the way she likes the way you move, plus the way she likes the way the two of you are both communicating. And when that starts to happen, that's what changes all the interpretations of everything. I always want to make sure that when we're having a great time, that I just go ahead and end it. You want to know why? Because maybe I have someone new coming over, or maybe I want to go out later on, but I don't want to tie myself into something and then get with it and then nothing ever happens. So I love to just say, hey, you know what, it's getting late. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go home. Let me go ahead and walk you to your car. And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say, hey, look, well, can I talk to you about something? Like, what's up? Well, did you not have a good time with me? Oh, I had a great time. Well, why didn't you keep this going? Well, you know what? Hey, look, you know what? It was getting late. I was having a great time. And you know what? Trust me, we can go ahead and do this later on. And we can go ahead and not necessarily do it later on, but, well, if you felt that way, I've got a great idea. And this is what kind of rose into the second date at my place. Because if she asked you guys about why did you end it so fast, was something wrong with me, and say, oh no, nothing was wrong with you at all. Matter of fact, everything was so cool, this is what we're gonna do on our next date. Our next date is gonna be at my place, or you created her place, where we go ahead and have dinner together. I'll create dessert, and then I'm gonna have dessert on you. Now, guys, that's more advanced. That's more advanced technique right there, gentlemen, for those that have game. But for those who don't have game, I would again push towards going on the date. I would push towards going on the second date at your place. Don't push the sex if you don't have the game, because if you try to push the narrative of sex and you don't have game, you're actually gonna creep her out and make her feel like all this stuff you're doing was to get to this point of where you're at right now is to try to sleep with me. And when a woman hears that, it's actually gonna turn her off. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to turn her off. We want to make sure she's turned on. And that's what's so important. So what I want to say for you guys out there, just remember, what you got to do as a boss is have a good time. Make sure you have your sound checks placed, the places you want to go. Make sure you let your waiter know or your staff member that you should have, because you go to the same place, and let them know I'm going to bring one through. Then when you let them know you bring one through, you have a great time on the date. But when it gets to the high point, that's when you go ahead and push the chips out. Go ahead and end the date, walk her to the car, get the hug and the kiss, and let her know you had a great time. And then it is at that point that what she is going to do is she is going to actually, should draw some more curiosity out of her to wonder, why did we end it? But also let her know that, call me when you get home safely so I can go ahead and set up our second date. And I'm just trying to determine, is that going to be at your place or mine? But we'll actually talk about that on the phone call. And then you do it that way. You're always leading, you're having fun, but you're also throwing her off her Tampax, all right? So gentlemen, that's gonna be the end of our discussion, but not the end of what we're talking about here. Guys, if you need to get at me at themanmindset@gmail.com. We have live videos. YouTube shorts, and regular videos like we have right here for you guys, absolutely free. Now, if you're ready to become a student of the game, then you can go ahead and ask for, you just send us an email at themanmindset@gmail.com and ask for your PDF file. And when you ask for your PDF file, we'll make sure we get you that right away. But guys, at the end of the day, when it comes to this game, one thought, one mind, one way. We always want to end it on top. We always want to end it on our terms, but we don't want to make the term sexual. The moment you make the term sexual, you're going to turn the woman off, and we don't want to turn the woman off. We want to move like a boss. We want to learn this game and soak it up. So guys, if you like this video right here, you're going to love the video I have right here. Guys, soak up this game. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.